can go back through it when you want to work the lab. The first lab's pretty simple. So it is cell-based. Who's not had Excel like ever? Okay. Some of you have, so okay, good. That's perfect. That's why I'm starting here, right? So obviously it's a software. You can get it. If you don't have Excel, you can get it from the college. It's through like the email, right? Office type of thing. Yeah. It might operate slightly different, but it's going to look the same and feel the same. And at the level we're going to use, it'll work just fine. All right. So it's cell-based. You have all these cells, right? But the cells are just there so you can see them as you're creating. Like when I go to print, and I'm going to pop in and out of print quite a bit, it looks like this. You don't see the cells. So think about that as you're setting stuff up. Like, okay, no one's going to see this. It's going to look like a blank piece of paper. So what I like you to do is make it look like a homework. It should flow kind of top to bottom and left to right. Just like a homework set, okay? Because the way you're going to use it is like for home. When we get into statics and strength of materials, I make you do a few of them in Excel just to create the document, keep the kind of muscle memory. I do. All right. Now that I'm covering it in this slide. Upper left, so you can see that there's these dotted lines. They're really hard to see. See, there's a dotted line there, there's a dotted line here, there's a dotted line here. They kind of go away and come back for some reason, like they're not here. I don't know why. Everyone see that? It's hard to see. That's the page break. So I have grid lines on, that's on and off here. These are print lines. Maybe that makes them show up better. But you can see that's a page. That's a page. That's a page. I think if I zoom back, maybe they show up better. I don't know if you can kind of see them or not. Yeah? All right. Zooms over there, obviously. I usually get into where I have a pretty big page area. So when you type, you're typing in a cell. So as soon as I typed this word, I got out of here. So Excel is going to understand the difference between alpha and numeric. It's not going to do anything with alpha. It's just alpha. That's just the word test, right? And I can keep typing. It all goes into that cell, but it will bleed over onto the next cells if there's nothing there. That's a big if. If there's something there, like if the number 44 is there, all of this information is still in this cell, right? But I can't see it because there is something in the cell next to it. So when you want to write a text or a paragraph or your name or homework set or a problem description, any long text, just get it in a clean row and you'll be able to type whatever you want. So maybe my name, maybe I go over here somewhere and I put ET120, right? And I go over here somewhere and I put the date. Now, anytime you're going to put numbers in, like what is the date? It is 10/30. Whoop, it's Halloween, right? 2023. It's going to read this as numeric. And it also understands that slash is division. So it may pick this up as a date format and it may keep it, right? Or it may not. So I'm just going to hit enter. That's how I put it in and it took it. Just no problem. Yeah, right? Notice that I'm back to the home tab here where I see like font size and normal kind of word processing stuff. If I click on this cell, it sees it as a general format. And there's a number of formats here. There's a number, there's general. General understands alpha and numeric. It figures it out, right? If I click on this, it's probably also going to be general. If I click on this, it sees it as a date. So Excel's trying to like process this data you're putting into it. If it's not working the way you want it to, then sometimes you have to go to the format and change it. Okay, but it'll see numbers as numbers, it'll see alpha as alpha, and it'll see a basic, like if I would have done it my way, for some reason, I'm a big dot person. I like dots better than slashes. It took it, and it took it as general, but it sees this as alpha, not a number, because there's just too many dots. If I just put 10.31 in, then it'll probably see that as also general, taking it as numeric. Okay, so just keep track of your formats is the point here. If I go to print, and I do this often, like I said, just because I want to see, I don't know why it's showing me the grid line now. It should not be. Why is it doing that? Oh, it's weird. Usually it doesn't show you the grid lines, so it's just. Oh, did I click them?
Yeah.
Where was that? Oh, I don't want that. Oh, no, that one. I want it here. Perfect. Thanks. Yeah. So I just go here now and then and see what it looks like. See if it looks organized. Right now, the 44 is just kind of hanging there. Looks terrible, right? I don't even know what the 44 is. So, title things. That's the other thing. So, I don't know what this is, but maybe it's a diameter. Right? And then justify things. You have all those tools, just like in Word, your justifications here. Alpha goes in left justified. Numbers go in right justified. But you can change them. I can pop it over there. Right? If I wanted to say diameter equals, then I could add the equals. Notice that I popped up to this little formula area. So when you click on a cell that has information, it shows you that information here, right? So to edit that information, you literally just pop up into here and edit it. Good. Notice my equal sign didn't show up. So you can drag rows around, columns around, make things show up. It manipulates everything below. So you got to be careful about that. So if there was something down here that was a number or information, if I drag this out, it's moving this. So you just have to be aware of what's below and what's above.
Looks like you're just in the page dotted line.
Oh, it will, yeah. The further I drag this out, this thing's is going to try and maintain that margin.
Or you can just double click it.
You can just do double. There's many extras that you can do for sure. So like you can highlight all the columns and then double click an edge and it'll adjust every column to the widest piece of information. That's what it did. That's not what I want because I don't want this thing out here at the end of my name. I want the 44 close to the equal sign, right? So this doesn't always work, but it's pretty handy. It's super handy. So again, emphasizing go here and look at it. And if it looks good, then that's what we want. In the end, we don't want anyone to actually know it was a spreadsheet that created this. I don't really care if they know how I did it, right? All right. So that's just like basic setup stuff. Equations. You can write them just like you do with a calculator. Okay. So if I wanted to write an equation that's just multiplying two numbers, I'll give myself two different numbers, 44 and 23. Get rid of this. Right. And I just want to multiply those two numbers down here somewhere. It starts with an equal sign. If you're going to type it in, it starts with an equal sign for an equation. So you can think of like, oh, it's going to be an equation and this is what it's equal to, I guess is the concept of Excel. But if you start with an equal sign, Excel right now knows whatever I'm doing is going to be an equation. It's not alpha. It'll probably be a number and it better work with numbers. Okay. So these have to be clean numbers, and if I want to multiply these two times each other, I just click on the cell, because that's what we want, is we want to use the cell address, not the number. I don't want to write in 44, or it's going to be 44 every time. I want to write in the cells for the equations, because then I can update it, right? And then you can use just your regular calculator syntax. Like I can go over and just get the multiply button off of the 9 keypad, right? And I know that, huh? I don't think X works, it's alpha, right? So, I mean, divide works, multiply works, right? Minus works, those kind of things. And if you're going next level beyond that, then we'll do the equation a different way. We'll use a starter equation and modify it. But just to show you how this works, because most of what you're going to do is just that basic maneuver, right? And then I hit enter. And what you want to do is use your calculator and check it, just to make sure you're getting the number. So you've got to know the answer in order for Excel to work. You need to know the solution. Otherwise, you're just guessing that Excel's doing it right, and it's probably not. Type of thing. So this could be, you know, side 1, and this could be side 2. I don't know. And I could even put in the equals, right? To make this look good. And I will right justify that. And right justify that. Left justify this, right? Just making it kind of look good. And then this would be maybe area. This was the box. Whoops. Forget it. And left justify that. Right. And maybe all this. So if you want to move stuff, you just highlight it. And you'll see the cursor turn into a little 4-way on the edge of what you've highlighted. You can take and move stuff around. And it'll save that equation. Like it saved this B3 and D3. It didn't update it. It just drug it right around. Right? So that's all good. Whoa, who's that? There we go. And then you want to make sure it works by putting in things that you know, right? Put in 2 there, and I'll put in 4 there. The answer should be 8. So it's even better if things have units. So 2, what is that? 2 what? I don't know, maybe 2 inches? But I can't put the inch in here. That'll screw it up. It won't be numeric anymore. Right? So I need to add. I just right clicked and I want to insert. So I just inserted a column. And I'm going to come over here. I don't need to insert one there. I can just use that column. But I'm going to put in inch. And inch. Right?
Did that?
Uh-huh.
The equation that was using E3 is now using E3.
It's using B3 and E3.
So it changed in the equation.
No, I think it was the same because those cells didn't change. These cells aren't changing when I drag the formula around. So here it's still B3, E3.
I thought when you inserted a column, it inserted it and because there's still A, B, C, D, E, but you inserted one in there. So it moved it over.
Yeah, no, I don't know how it figured it out, but it did. It kept the B and the E the same. Maybe it did then update it. Oh, let's just experiment. Let's check that out. It's B3, E3 right now. Let's insert another one. Yeah, it's updating it. Yeah. Smart little thing, isn't it? All right, so I'll delete that back out. So now what's it look like? Right, if we go to print, I'm emphasizing this. That looks pretty good. Side 1 equals 2 inches. That's kind of weird, kind of far apart and kind of far apart, but not bad. It's legible. So it's a little different than the way I'm seeing it here, right? So I could squeeze this down a little more, squeeze this down a little more. This is all how much you want to fuss with it. You squeeze it down too much, it disappears, right? Now, what should be here for the unit? Inches squared. Yeah, so how do I do that? It's alpha, right? And then you have a bunch of choices up here in the alpha area. So subscript is one of them, superscript is one, we could try that. So I just went up here and pulled it down right there, that little thing. So rather than use a formula, I'm just gonna try and do it with text and say, oh, superscript, okay, and then put a 2 in.
What happens if you do the up? arrow?
The caret thing?
Yeah, it's on like, how you do it on the calculator.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work, but let's try it. Looking for it, there it is. Yeah, that's what we get.
I know that's what it is.
There could be shortcuts. I just have always used this. And once I get that done, I do Control C and I copy it wherever I need it and I just change it to like, oh, I don't need inches, right? So once you get it done, oops, that didn't work. Change the subscript to all of it. Or maybe I can do it out here. Then like it keeps switching it on me. See. Oh yeah, look at that. Yikes. All right. Good so far? Also, yeah, go ahead.
Actually, the H's, you created a formula, if you go in the mode, the type,
Yep,
it does it automatically for you.
yeah. Correct. So your formulas are here, formulas. And then you can use a bunch of like insert function. So if you want a formula that's more robust than what you want to create, you can go find it, you can do a search. And there's a bunch of them in here, so.
To cover everything from like statics and trace materials, I don't hit a lot of.
It'll do a lot of those formulas, yeah. You might have to find a similar formula and modify it. But yeah, it will. All right, the last thing, because what I have you do is create some graphics to go with whatever you're producing. So you can insert basic shapes. Or you can make shapes, right? So if I have you create a floor plan and I want the perimeter and the area and a bunch of information about that, you should have a simple drawing on that in the homework set or whatever the little lab is. So like side 1 and side 2, that's great, but what are we even working on, right? So in this case, I might have something like just a box. So when you insert a shape, it's not going into a cell. It's just here, right? And you can move it around and it's just gonna, wherever you place it in the print, it's just gonna show up, right? So that's kind of handy. So this might be better if we had like side 1 here, right? And side 2 here. I'm gonna have to play with my little, we'll put it there. Right? What's that mean? Anybody know?
Column is narrow.
Column is too narrow. It means there's stuff that, hey, there's numbers here, we just can't see it. So you just gotta open it up a little or 2-click on it and it'll open it up. Okay. So then, yeah, just clean it back up. And then, you know, whatever, however you want to do this, just organize it. That might make more sense when it gets printed out. Right? And the whole purpose is so next time, as these sides change, we can put in different numbers. Might have to drag it out to get them to show up.
Same thing on the other.
Yeah. Yep. So as you tweak things, you're gonna have to massage it a little bit, right?
I think there is a way how to put so vertical.
The what?
Like on the side that you have on the right hand side,
Over here.
yep, that, the description of the side. There
Yes.
is a way to put it vertical too.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yeah.
I don't remember how to do it.
Yeah, there's a way to do everything, that's for sure. All right. That's probably enough to get going. What you're gonna do is very similar to this. You're gonna do 2 squares and 2 triangles. You can use multiple pages if it doesn't all fit on the same page. It is here in the Blackboard. It is 8. Well, let's just see what it says. So 2 squares, 2 by 2 and 4 by 4, 2 triangles, each side of the triangle. So it's an equilateral triangle, 2.5 and 4 inch. And you're supposed to calculate the exterior perimeter and the area of the 4 shapes. So an area and perimeter. Okay. Obviously, you're not going to calculate it. You want to set up Excel to do that work for you. I did ask that you shade the input areas green. So shading's pretty easy. This is shading here. Green. So this is good for you because when you pull this up in a year, you're not going to remember like, oh, where were the equations and what was the input and where were the numbers being run? So this is something I do with all mine is, and then when I come in, I know right away, oh, input areas are green, calculation areas are red, right? And then it's going. Normally, there would be also, the equation would be displayed here. So that is as simple as insert equation. So you can do that. You can pick equations or create the equation. This is going to show the equation, right? I mean, this is so simple. You could just do length times height. You could literally write it in. But if there's an equation you want to use, it'll just give you a starter equation and then you can modify it or massage it. So this then will become the equation that is displayed, because if it's a complicated equation, I'm not going to know what that equation is, and I'm not going to want to go here to try and figure out what the equation is, right? So typically we display the equation also. Especially if you're going to share it with somebody else. So this might just be a length. And I am just using alpha. So nothing too tricky here. Right? Equation, the display of equations is pretty nice because it's not cell-based. You can just move it around. Length times height. And you can literally write that out. LENGTA times height. However descriptive you want to be. It's for yourself in the future. If it's a good spreadsheet that you're going to use, or if it's for somebody else, if you're sending this information like to the county as a calculation package, the county person's going to want to see the equation you ran, and then it'll want to see the solution. But they don't need to know that it was Excel, right? They don't need to know that at all. It's just going to look like this. I'd probably pull the shading off. Good. Got it? All right, that's it. Go for it. If you work it here, I can help. We can help. We can work together. You can change all of these kind of things too and get rid of fills. I would do no fill. Because then it's going to look like that. You can import from AutoCAD, right? If you had a more complicated drawing and you didn't want to redraw it in Excel, we can bring in a drawing from AutoCAD into the spreadsheet and then do a bunch of math with it, right? So I don't think I have a calculation package right in front of me, but I'll bring in a couple and it just looks like you know, just looks like calcs on a paper, but it's done in Excel. It's way faster. That's it. It's lab. Lab time. Oh, there is an exam on next Tuesday. I should probably share that with you. So it's exam time. We'll do it here and it'll be just what we've done. So you might have to do some hand graphics. You might have to do some sketching. You might have to do orthographic projection. All that first 5-week stuff, not Excel, because you're just starting. And it'll be in class. Piece of cake. Next Tuesday, yep,